Welcome back, extras, and yes, we are back with part 2 of The Fallen Freedom. This part is a bit longer, however, it has actually been a lot easier to make than part 1. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get back to where we last left off.
Chapter 6. The Flood of Fighters. The United Islands of Marak are constantly being dumped with nearly thousands of unwanted people. So they form an attack. They are sick and tired of being treated like a place to dump the undesired natives of the local area. And they begin to outrage to the front lines, decimating the warriors in their path. And they used all the people they've been dumped with to their advantage and began to swarm their opponents.
Their first victims are Netherjun, and they've already done some severe damage to them.
They plan on never stopping until they conquer the entire world.
And they make sure that they fend off anyone who tries to stop their master plan.
And Netherjun's numbers slowly fell.
And all of Netherjun's collapsed, including their legacy. Will this war ever end? Or will this tragedy continue to creep upon this kingdom?
Chapter 7. The Vahadian Alliance.
As the war continues, the United Islands of Marak have came up with a plan. Eskimo struck a deal with Tupio, a deal forming an alliance to gain power upon the world and become the strongest kingdom known to humanity.
And now that the alliance is formed, their master plan will commence. Chapter 8. The Beginning of an End. The Vahadian Alliance is staying inside their borders,
preparing for the upcoming war, preparing by rallying troops, gathering resources, and building up a good defense so they will never suffer.
They farmed for days, non-stop. They need a steady food source until the time came. The borders dropped and the Great War just began. It was chaos. There was thousands of deaths and endless destruction. This battle could destroy the world. But the Vahadian Alliance stayed strong and began to venture out into the other islands. And just like that, the world began to be divided once more. Was there any hope left? Obviously there was many failed attempts to get to the other islands, but they soon achieved it and began to form the Great Attack.
This was the beginning of the Great End. And this madness would not stop anytime soon. Chapter 9. The Awakening of a Greater Kingdom. The Vahadian Alliance has completely taken over the world. So let me introduce you to all of their villages. Merphonia Republic, a kingless village
known for their architecture and great warriors.
Blade, a strong village recognized for their fierce warriors and astounding armies. Teonia, a small newly founded village, home to some awesome statues. Their bigger kings are also acceptable. Vahadian, a small, humble village known for its great natural resources. Apurio, a small village known for its advancement and its great tactical defense. Apparently, everyone lives happy here. Madivia, another recent colony, extremely wealthy in natural resources, and being in the center islands makes them a perfect trading center where they can earn lots of wealth. Neverdrun Republic, a village which was once a great wealthy place to live, has now fallen to ashes and major ruin. They are left with only a few scavengers to provide. Askimo, a capital full of wealth and prosperity. This is the very place where King Gregory struck the deal, which he has not yet fulfilled. Chupio, another wealthy capital, known for their scouts and soldiers, armed with the great weapons from Corpia Escalon. Ohara, a small group of islands currently being scouted out. It is believed it will soon be home to some of the greatest courtrooms in the world. Corpia Escalon, a village home to some of the most powerfulest and dangerous weapons known to mankind. These weapons include Frost Fighter, forged in the northern caves of Neverdrun Republic. Frost Shot, forged in the deepest caves of Chupio. Flame Fighter, forged in the ancient volcanoes of Mephonia. And many, many more we don't have time to review. Chapter 10. Messy Play. The world has been in peace for decades now, but King George of Hypona becomes curious of when he will gain the riches and land he was promised. However, King Gregory said he is not yet ready, so King George took him to court to discuss the matter. But when Gregory refused, George started boiling with rage and gave him one last chance to fulfill his promise. But when Greg said he doesn't have all the things he was promising, George once again felt the madness creep upon him and blew up his own courtroom, killing himself and many more. However, miraculously, Gregory escaped. And that's when war was declared upon the whole world. But Hypona never stood kingless for long. They eventually elected a new king, and they began to prepare defences to fight in this war. This had now turned into a never-ending war, where there was thousands of deaths. George thought that Gregory's solemn oath was legit, but it was all just for power to take over the world. So George's people avenge him.
This misunderstanding has caused so many problems, and yes, I wasn't going to give him what I promised, because I already had I gave him power upon the world, but he still wants more. This world is a cold place though, and I have to fight on with my people.
King Gregory's words was true. Before George's kingdom was invited to the alliance, they were nothing but a small colony with no power or resources. But after the alliance conquered the world, George's kingdom had everything. However, no one believes Gregory, so unfortunately, he is known as the villain in the story. Anti-Pona can't win this war with the weapons they have alone. They need a stronger weapon, that's why they recruited Dr. Loco.
The world will go boom boom. It's a suicide mission.
And with that, Dr. Loco ran off to his underground bunker to begin to test with his new bombs. But meanwhile, the war still continues and no one is safe. The population dropped by over 60% in only 5 years. And now George's people have plunged into madness. They needed to feel more control over the world. The people knew they could never be safe, as bloodthirsty soldiers were always right around the corner. But an announcement was made in Mephonia Republic. Dr. Loco was ready. He made his first test drop, primarily hitting Upubio. Everyone was panicking, and that was only the first of many upcoming attacks. Some bombs accidentally even hit their own villagers, killing many. There was very few lucky survivors, but even they didn't last any longer. This war was getting out of hand, and there was no way to stop it. Well, Dr. Loco did say it was a suicide mission, and that's probably what he meant by that. He struck on his own kingdom. But this doesn't mean it stops, because unfortunately the bombing was on automatic. However, it seemed to stop for now, and the very lucky survivors, trembling in their own shoes, began to live their normal life again. It would take decades, no, nearly centuries, to fully rebuild